What's up guys, my name is Rok and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joined here by my bro Klemen.
Hi.
And
Hi.
And together we will try to predict the first round of the NBA playoffs that start on Saturday. We will begin with the Eastern Conference.
So the first seeded Boston Celtics take on the Chicago Bulls. Boston only recently got to the first seed after Cleveland lost against Toronto Raptors.
On the other hand, Chicago Bulls have been playing better in the recent weeks, and ever since Rajon Rondo got the keys to the Bulls offense and Mirotic has started playing very well, and even though they might be the underdog in this round, I still wouldn't count them out.
So the Boston Celtics is led by Isaiah Thomas. His best helper is Al Horford, and all the other players just play their role perfectly. So I say Boston in 5.
I also think that even though Boston is the clear favorite in this round, Chicago still has the quality to get at least one win, so I too am going with the Boston in 5.
Then the second seeded Cavaliers, my favorite team, take on the Indiana Pacers. There's not much to say about Cleveland Cavaliers. I already made a video about them. Maybe they are struggling, maybe they are not, go check it out. But the main point is that LeBron James always focuses in the playoffs, and I think will deliver them another victory against Indiana.
Indiana's biggest problem, in my opinion, to some of you might be surprising, is Paul George. Paul George, don't get me wrong, is a superb player, but as long as he doesn't act as the leader of the team on the floor and off the floor, Indiana won't get much out of this round. We've seen a few weeks ago that if George wants to perform against James or maybe against bigger teams, he can lead the team. But the question is, will he deliver in the playoffs?
Another question is, how will Love step out for Cleveland Cavaliers? I don't doubt in Kyrie Irving, he always brings out the best performance in the playoffs, but I'm more doubtful with Kevin Love. So I say Cleveland Cavaliers in 5.
So as I've said, as long as George performs, Indiana has some chances, although I don't expect them to win more than one game, and I'm doubtful that they can even win that one game, so I'm going with Cleveland in 4. In the next matchup, third seeded Toronto Raptors will take on the 6th seeded Milwaukee Bucks. Toronto has throughout the season built a nice team around their two All-Stars Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. They've added wing stopper PJ Tucker and another rim protector alongside Jonas Valanciunas in Serge Ibaka. I think they have a perfectly balanced team and they are better than ever. The question is, will that be enough? They have shown in the regular season that they can perform really well if they want, but they also had some really bad nights.
On the other side, Milwaukee Bucks are led by Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not questioning his performance in the playoffs, I'm questioning his supporting cast. If we could say that he even has supporting cast because they're all about the same age, so it's a team without a true superstar. Although Malcolm Brogdon is one of the candidates for the Rookie of the Year, this will be his first playoffs and there is potential that he could choke in the playoffs.
So as I said, Toronto has the quality to go far in these playoffs. The question is how far. I think in the first round they won't have too much of a problem with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I'm going with Toronto in 6.
I don't have anything to add.
Really, nigga?
I also say Toronto in 6.
In what, at least on the paper, should be the most evenly matched round in the first round of the Eastern playoffs, 4th seeded Washington Wizards will take on the 5th seeded Atlanta Hawks. Washington, in my opinion, are the dark horse in the Eastern Conference because they have an excellent leader in my favorite player in the league, John Wall, alongside Bradley Beal, Markieff Morris, who is one of the most underrated players in my opinion. Marcin Gortat can perform at both ends of the floor, and they have some really exciting prospects coming off the bench in Kelly Oubre and Brandon Jennings, and they've shown this season that at home they can beat anyone.
On the other side, we have a hot and cold Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta doesn't have a true star on their roster. They rely on an all-around team performance, and they are also heavily relying on the three-point shooting. So if that won't work against Washington, then they are screwed. Midway through season, they traded Kyle Korver for Mike Dunleavy. They just replaced a shooter for another shooter, but I think that they made a huge mistake because Kyle Korver is certainly better than Mike Dunleavy.
I think this round won't be evenly matched at all. I think Washington Wizards aren't gonna have a problem with the Hawks, and I'm going with Washington in 5.
As I said, it all depends on the 3-point shooting from Atlanta Hawks, so I think that they will at least force 2 wins, and I say Washington in 6. And now let's go to the Western Conference. The first seeded Golden State Warriors take on the Portland Trail Blazers. After throwing away half of their bench for Kevin Durant, this move could also backfire them quickly after Durant got injured. But they are lucky and Kevin Durant is back for the playoffs. With all the star power on their roster, I think that they are a true favorites to win Western Conference and also NBA Finals.
Portland just barely got into the playoffs after battling hard for the 8th spot with the Denver Nuggets. Portland are the biggest disappointment of the season, at least in the Western Conference. They've added Evan Turner, overpaid him, haven't gotten that much of a production from him, overpaid Allen Crabbe, who is hot and cold and you don't really know what you're getting with him on any given night. Lillard is still their best player and he has a good sidekick in CJ McCollum. The only good thing that they've made this season is trading for Jusuf Nurkic, who has been a beast since moving to the Western Coast. He will probably be back for the first round against the Warriors and could be the factor X in this series.
With 3 different MVPs, 4 All-Stars, their perfect 3-point shooting and the star power that they have, I think that Golden State Warriors will sweep the Portland Trail Blazers.
As long as Nurkic is back for this series, I think Portland can cause at least a little bit of a problem. And even though Lillard was overly optimistic saying that Portland will go through in 6 games, I think they will only got 1 win and not 4, so I'm going with Golden State in 5. In the next matchup, 2nd seeded San Antonio Spurs will take on the 7th seeded Memphis Grizzlies. San Antonio are led by the MVP candidate and the candidate for the Defensive Player of the Year, Kawhi Leonard, who can do some real damage at both ends of the floor, has a really good supporting cast off the bench, and are led by the best coach in the NBA history, Greg Popovich.
Besides overpaid Mike Conley, Memphis Grizzlies only have Marc Gasol. Well, besides that we could include Chandler Parsons, but he is injured and also overpaid. I can honestly tell you that I know the least about all of the teams for Memphis Grizzlies.
Really, nigga?
So I can only say Spurs in 4.
I'm going to predict a sweep too, so I'm going with Spurs in 4.
Next matchup is Houston Rockets versus Oklahoma City Thunder. We will see a battle between 2 best MVP candidates, Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Houston heavily relies on their 3-point shooting and an extremely good backcourt of Harden, Beverly, Williams and Gordon. With their relying on their 3-point shooting, they are very similar to Atlanta Hawks, but they are shooting better and have James Harden. So the answer on who will win this series will come from the centers battle between Anderson and Capella and Kanter and Adams.
Oklahoma City are a one-man team, led by the most possible MVP winner, Russell Westbrook. The problem with Oklahoma is the supporting cast. First of all, Russell Westbrook is not a leader. Second of all, they've got a shooting guard who can't shoot, they've got a wing stopper who cannot stop wing players, and power forward and a center who deliberately didn't rebound just for Russell Westbrook to get his triple doubles. That must change in the playoffs because Russell Westbrook isn't chasing Robertson's record anymore, and they must act as a team that wants to win and not as a player chasing the record.
So with a deeper bench and better 3-point shooting, I think that Houston Rockets will beat Oklahoma after 5 games.
I expect a good matchup between 2 old teammates, but there is a clear favorite in this series. It is the Houston Rockets. I expect them to win comfortably. I'm going also with the Houston Rockets in 5. So the last matchup in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs are the 4th seeded Utah Jazz against the 5th seeded Los Angeles Clippers. Utah Jazz are one of the most underrated teams throughout the NBA and are also perfectly balanced. They have a leader in Gordon Hayward, who is also their best scorer. They are the perfect example of the saying, offense wins games, defense wins championships. They are the team that allows the least points in the NBA, led by my favorite to win the Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert.
On the other side we have Los Angeles Clippers, led by Chris Paul, Blake Griffin and maybe DeAndre Jordan. Well, he's not leading the team, he is just grabbing the rebounds and putting the ball back into the basket. He can do nothing without Chris Paul, and Chris Paul is very injury prone, so the Clippers have to hope that he won't get injured in the playoffs. They also have good shooters in Jamal Crawford and Austin Rivers.
I'm going to predict the first and only upset in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I think Jazz's defense will stop the Lob City and Utah Jazz will win in 6 games.
On the other side, I say that Los Angeles Clippers are only fifth because Chris Paul missed many games with injury. If he doesn't get injured in the playoffs, I think that Clippers will overpower Utah Jazz in 7 games.
So these were our predictions for the first round of the NBA playoffs. We will be back when the second round starts. Do you think we got anything wrong? With whose predictions do you agree more? Tell me in the comment section below, like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more upcoming videos. And I will see you guys soon.